Welcome, Facebook viewers. My name is Brad Bodis. I'm with the Bond and Bodis Law Offices, where we help people that are facing financial problems. We have been doing this weekly Facebook Live episodes for over a year now, and they've become popular. We thank all of you viewers who chime in and watch us each week. We ask that you share these episodes with others if you find them interesting. Uh, Today, we are going to discuss a very, very important topic, and that is the coming end to the moratorium on evictions in the United States, specifically where we practice in Alabama and Mississippi. I'm very fortunate today to have my good friend and a lawyer with Bond and Bodis, Meredith Drummond, join us today. Meredith, welcome.
Thank you, Brad.
I will apologize to my viewers. We had a sound issue, so Meredith has been forced to wear the microphone in front of her face, and but it's one of those technical things. But Meredith, the sound is much better this way, and we appreciate this. So, folks, what I want to tell you is, at Bond and Bodis for over 30 years now, we've been helping people with money problems. And we know a lot of people over the last year have had some significant challenges. It's been a time like most of us have never faced in our lives. Um, and a lot of the protections that were put in place by our government are now coming to an end. And if you are behind on your rent, if you are behind on your mortgage payments, if you're having financial challenges, we encourage you to be proactive. Our offices are throughout Alabama, we're throughout Mississippi, and we are offering absolutely free initial consultations with an experienced attorney right now. Um, Today, we are going to focus on the coming end to the moratorium on evictions. And the reason I've asked Meredith to join me today is because Meredith will be able to talk from a unique perspective. She's worked with us at the Bond and Bodis law offices on two occasions now, um, where we help people that owe money, that are behind on their bills, that need help, that need some sort of relief. But Meredith, unlike a lot of us, also practiced for a period of time representing mortgage servicers and creditors, and uh, actually did some of that dark side work of
Evictions.
having to move somebody out of their home. Meredith, you practiced with us initially back, I think it started in around 2002, worked with us through right after bankruptcy reform
Yep.
into 2006. You then left for a period of time, represented mortgage servicers, and we've been blessed to have you back with us now for since about 2018. Um, your husband Jamie is also an attorney. You've lived in the Jackson area in Mississippi for some time. Tell us a little bit more about your background. Share with our viewers what we should know about Meredith Drummond.
Well, I'm a Yankee. Um, I'm actually originally from Massachusetts, but I came down to Mississippi to go to law school. And I graduated in 1998 from MC. Worked for a judge in Chancery Court in Madison for about a year. Did some child support work for about 3 years, and then started the whole bankruptcy route. I've done creditor work, like you said, for 10 years. I represented major mortgage companies doing foreclosures, evictions, title work, those sort of things. So then I got back and came back to the debtor side, which, to help people.
Good, good. Yeah, it's better to help people than big companies, in my opinion.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
that's why I went to law school, and I know a lot of us did. So, Meredith, what I want to focus on today, and so our viewers can size this up. I practice primarily in our firm's Alabama offices, while Meredith is primarily in our Mississippi offices, most of the time in the Jackson area, but also sometime in Vicksburg and in Hattiesburg. but she's practiced law across the state of Mississippi. Um, eh, the issue that looms very near for a lot of people is that the moratorium that has been in place, it was implemented by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or as most of it know it, the CDP, back during the heart of COVID. It's been extended several times, but it's been signaled pretty clearly that it is going to end at the end of July. So those of you that may be behind on your rent, behind on mortgage payments, it's there's going to be a big wave of evictions and foreclosures in the very near future, and we want you to know what your rights are. Meredith, I want to talk today about the recent decision by the United States Supreme Court. It's important because it did involve an Alabama entity, the Alabama Association of Realtors. I want to talk about when the pending eviction moratorium is going to expire. I want to talk about how the eviction process actually works. And it's a little bit different in Alabama and Mississippi, but we'll cover both states' laws. Um, what to expect if somebody's home was previously in a pending foreclosure, or um, people are behind on their mortgage or rent payments, options available to people under federal law. Our offices do straight bankruptcy work, but we also help people with debt consolidation, where they can restructure their debt and come up with a plan to pay off all or a portion of their debt over time. Um, how homeowners can work with mortgage servicers, um, and when it's time to reach out for help, when it's time to ask an attorney for advice. So, are you ready to dive in?
Sure.
All right. So, very recently, there was a United States Supreme Court opinion, and the opinion was a case that was brought by the Alabama Association of Realtors that questioned the authority of the CDP to issue this prohibition on evictions. And although I represent debtors, people with money problems, I understand. There are properties owners out there that were not collecting rent payments, and they wanted to know whether or not the government said they just couldn't go forward with evictions. Well, the United States Supreme Court did uphold, it was a close decision, but the United States Supreme Court did uphold the authority of the CDP to issue the prohibition during this pandemic. Again, it's been a time like none of us have ever seen. But it was a short victory because, again, the prohibition, the moratorium on evictions will end at the end of this month. Um, that addresses the first two issues we wanted to discuss. The moratorium was constitutional, but it's going to end at the end of July. So come August, people need to be prepared. Um, Meredith, why don't you start by explaining how the eviction process works in Mississippi?
Sure.
Just kind of the nuts and bolts of how it works.
If you're late on your rent, you should get from your landlord some kind of notice, definitely in writing, that you're late. They will serve you with papers, whether it's what's called an unlawful entry and detainer in county court or justice court, where it may just be an affidavit, a landlord affidavit saying you're late. You have a date certain that you have to be in court, and I would say go to court, or do something before court, because that's, once they have a judgment, they can get the money. So you need to make sure that you have that now. Like I said, in justice court, they can post it on your door. That's notice in justice court. So you have to look for those kind of things. If you get a summons from the sheriff, you have to look for that, and know when the date is, because the date's going to be very important in what you need to do and when you need to do it by. Um,
Yeah. So the process in Alabama is somewhat similar for our Alabama viewers. The first thing that needs to happen if you're a tenant and you're renting an apartment or a home, the first thing that needs to happen is that you've defaulted on the lease. Now, a lot of people think, well, I'm going to have a month or two, or usually my landlord's not going to do anything till I'm a few months behind. You need to know under most lease agreements, it's only a matter of days. If you're
Right.
behind, your landlord can usually terminate your lease. You need to look at the specific wording of the lease or have an attorney do so, but usually you're just a few days behind. Your landlord has the authority to terminate your lease. Now, uh, today, unfortunately, there are people that are many, many months behind because
Right.
of what's transpired in this last year. Once it's terminated, the landlord can file what's called an unlawful detainer proceeding. In Alabama, once you're served, once a copy of that is delivered to you, you have only 7 days to respond. That's a very short period of time. If you're sued in circuit court in Alabama, you have 30 days to respond. If you're sued in small claims or district court, typically you have at least 14 days to respond. But if you're served with an unlawful detainer action, you have only 7 days. So you need to act quickly. Once that judgment is entered, and it'll be entered by default if you don't respond within 7 days. Then you could be put out of your home or your apartment, and they'll actually come and put all your property out on the front yard or out in the parking lot. So you need to be prepared. You can, once you get served, you can buy yourself more than 7 days by filing a response. It's essentially a lawsuit asking for possession of the property and back rent. You can respond. You can say, I'm not in default, and the court will set it for a hearing at some point. May buy you an extra couple of weeks, but it is time to get to an attorney. Um, Meredith, I know that as you said during the introduction, you worked for large mortgage companies. Um, there are a number of people that were already behind on their mortgage payments
Right.
um, uh, before this pandemic set in. And maybe even a determination was made that people were in default. What should those people expect after this prohibition on evictions or moratorium expires?
Well, I mean, once the it expires, you'll see foreclosures go up. I mean, because they'll be allowed to go forward with the foreclosure process. In Mississippi, they have to publish. It takes 30 days. And once
Now, when you say publish it, we're lawyers and we understand what that means, but go ahead and tell
they
people
put
what
it in,
that means.
they
Yeah.
actually put the substitute trustee what's called the notice of sale. They put it in the newspaper so your friends will see it, you'll see it. They'll put it in your local newspaper. Once you see that, that's when you definitely need to come to see a lawyer because once that date of sale and the house is sold, there's not a whole lot you can do. The property will transfer to the bank, so it will no longer be yours. There is no redemption period in Mississippi. So once that gavel hits on the day of sale between 11 and 4, it's not yours anymore. And whether you file bankruptcy or not, you want to file bankruptcy prior to that foreclosure date to save the house. Then we can put you in a debt consolidation, put the arrears through the plan, and you can save the house. But after that, if you did it after, I mean, we can save you time, but if the property is already transferred, the house is gone. So it's very
Yeah.
important that you come in prior to that sale date.
Yeah. Absolutely, folks. Um, in a mortgage situation, now we're talking about two different situations here. One is you're buying a home and the mortgage company is foreclosing upon the home. The other situation is you're renting an apartment or a home and your landlord um, uh, terminates the lease and wants to proceed with an unlawful detainer action to move you out of the apartment. So The dates are a little bit different and this is the same in both Alabama and Mississippi. You can do a debt consolidation that we can help you with to catch up your mortgage payments, but you have to act before the day on which the foreclosure sale takes place. Um, Alabama, we do have a redemption law, but it's not a very strong one, and it's very hard to utilize. Um, but folks, don't wait until the day before the foreclosure sale. I don't care what these nice people with the mortgage company are telling you about modification or how they're going to work with you. If there's a foreclosure sale set, get to us as soon as possible so that we can help you, or at least call us. Again, free initial consultations will at least talk to you about what your options are. Don't stick your head in the sand because it's not going to get better. Now, the eviction from the apartment, as Meredith said, is a little bit different. Technically, we can save your apartment up until the time the landlord gets a judgment against you, a judgment, eviction judgment. Again, we reminded you in both Alabama and Mississippi, once you're served with that unlawful detainer action, you have a very short period of time within which to act. And if you don't, and if that judgment is taken against you, there's very little we can do, even through a debt consolidation. Now, a straight bankruptcy still may be helpful to you because you're probably going to owe a lot of back rent that you're going to need to deal with. But we can use a debt consolidation under federal law to save your home or save your apartment. With the apartment, it may only be a short-term solution, but at least we'll give you some time to act so that you don't find all of your belongings out in the front yard or out in the parking lot. So, Meredith, let's talk a little bit about the options available. The tool I find most effective to help somebody that's behind on rent payments or behind on mortgage payments, as opposed to a straight bankruptcy, is a debt consolidation plan where people are able to restructure their debt. So talk us through that. If I come to see you, Meredith, and I'm behind on my mortgage payments and I'm worried about a foreclosure, how can you use a debt consolidation to help me?
Well, a debt consolidation will take that arrearage, that behind that you're on your mortgage, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, or lately I've seen a lot more, put it through a 5-year plan. So you're not paying a big lump sum. You're paying maybe, a few $100s versus 20,000 if you owe that much. You'll have some time. It'll take all your debts, roll it all into one monthly note that you can afford. We look at your income, we look at your expenses, and we basically, make sure that you can afford it. And sometimes you're not. I mean, I've had clients lately that just they can't. But most of the time, we can help you and you can afford it. And we can help you save the house, which is what most people want.
Now, Meredith, but you're an experienced attorney. You've been doing this for a long time. You've even represented mortgage companies. Can I afford to hire you to do a debt consolidation? Isn't that going to be expensive?
No, our fees are put through the plan. Right now, I mean, depending if it's you and your wife, I mean, our fee is about 350 upfront fee. So,
Yeah.
the rest of our fees are put through the plan. um, you know, so you can't afford it. You and you need us if you're about to have a foreclosure, because you may be hearing things on TV like we talked about. Now, because this is looming, this foreclosure eviction, is about to pass. You're going to see a lot of things on TV saying, come to us and we can help you. And don't do it. Come to people who know what they're doing. Come to people who, us who've been doing it for a long time. Stop the foreclosure. Don't believe, all the TV ads that say you don't need bankruptcy, because that's really not going to work most of the time.
So when you were representing the mortgage companies and uh, you'd been hired, you'd been told that the homeowner was behind on their payments, you published this sale notice of sale in the newspaper. Um, and you received notice that the homeowner had filed a debt consolidation, what did that tell you?
Well, that they filed before the foreclosure had stopped it, made it. I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't go forward. I mean, we would always check prior to the foreclosure to see if the person had filed. If they had, that stops the action. So I mean, that's really the only way, the only thing that does stop the foreclosure.
And I want, again, I want people out there that are listening to understand this is an order. When you file a debt consolidation proceeding and you get your plan approved, this is an order from a federal judge telling your landlord or your mortgage servicer, stop. You can't move forward. You can't take these people home. You can't take their apartment, and you're not going to be able to unless you get permission from the court. Um, it's called relief from the court's automatic stay. That's the technical term, but what you need to know is once we file that, you're protected by order of a federal judge. And you've got some time to either catch up on what you're behind or, if you choose to, relocate, but at a pace that you can do so.
Right.
And I should clarify that how much money you have to pay up front in order to get a debt consolidation started is going to vary even amongst our offices
Right.
because of rules and procedures by different courts. Um, you should know, for instance, in the Birmingham, Alabama area, most times we can file a debt consolidation without you paying any money up front. We'll put our fees, we'll put the court filing fees, we'll put everything into your plan of reorganization. Um, so it's not expensive to get started, but again, that initial consultation is free. And right now, we'll do it in person, or we'll do it over the phone, or we'll do it by video like Meredith and I are meeting today. We want you to feel safe. Meredith, I often tell people I've been practicing bankruptcy law for close to 35 years, and this is the first time ever you can file a bankruptcy or a debt consolidation plan from start to finish without even leaving your home.
Oh yeah.
Fo- Folks, even the court hearings are
They're
being
all
done by,
online. Everything's
yeah,
on. Mhm.
online right now. So don't feel like there's any pressure. We want to help you. We're going to talk you through it. You can schedule an appointment by either calling us, and our number is on the screen or will be on the screen several times through this broadcast, or if you're not quite ready to call, go to our website. We have a lot of good information there. And you can fill out a form there, and then one of our assistants will reach out to you and help set up a time that you can talk to one of our attorneys. We're not judgmental. We want to help you.
No.
Meredith, I always tell people, even though I'm a practicing bankruptcy attorney and I've been doing this a long time, that bankruptcy should not be your first choice. There are modifications being allowed on mortgages for a lot of people right now.
Mhm.
So, from the perspective, put on your hat from when you were representing the big bad mortgage companies. Um, how does a modification work? What does that mean when a mortgage is modified?
What they do is they may take a lump sum and put it to the back of the note. They usually have a trial period. Usually it's 3 to 6 months where they'll tell you to, make payments of a certain amount. And then after you make that, they'll take the rest and put it at the end of the note. I've seen that done a lot, particularly during COVID, where they're just putting at the end of the note. In 2008, that wasn't as clear when they started these loan modifications, but I think everyone's gotten better at that. And they are putting it at the end of the note. So that's something that I think everyone who knows that they're behind should first try. That should be your first attempt. If you can't do a loan modification or it's denied, then you look at your other avenues. But it's a lot of paperwork. But you have to, just fill out and be diligent trying to get it done. But they really don't want your house for the
No.
most part. They want you to stay in your house.
Yeah. The thing that concerns me right now is that the modification process, it sounds great. And if you can get it done and you have, there's no trial period, you're not still in a trial period. If you have an assurance in writing from your mortgage company that they're going to modify your mortgage, that's one thing. But if you're still in that application process where they're asking you to send pay stubs and tax returns and all of this other information, that doesn't protect your home.
No.
Often, if you're facing a foreclosure, it's good to go ahead and get into a debt consolidation plan so that you're protected, so that your home is protected. And then you can work on a modification. Our regular viewers will remember that a month or two back, we did an episode with a gentleman that's working. He's with a company by the name of Stretto. Other bankruptcy attorneys out there will know that Stretto is the company that owns Best Case, which is a software we use as bankruptcy attorneys. They're working to create a nationwide program where people can work while in their Chapter 13 with their Chapter 13 reorganization attorney to modify their mortgage. Folks, if you're 4, 5, 6 payments behind on your mortgage, it's not the time to worry about the impact a debt consolidation may have on your credit.
No.
Your credit's likely already in bad shape, but if we can get you into a plan, you have an umbrella. Federal judge is going to issue an order that serves as an umbrella. It's going to protect you and give you time to do that modification. And if you're unable to modify, as Meredith said, to take up to 60 months sometime to catch up on what you're behind while making your regular mortgage payment. So you do have to have a source of income. Reach out and get advice now. So, Meredith, it's a little bit different for somebody that is a tenant as opposed to somebody that is buying a home. A tenant, folks, is somebody that's renting. They're not buying, they're renting their apartment or they're renting their home. Um, and again, the process is short. We've emphasized this, but if you are representing a landlord, Meredith, and you are going forward with that eviction or unlawful detainer action, um, are you going to likely at that point try to work out a repayment plan with the tenant?
Um, I mean, if they're in a bankruptcy and a debt consolidation, um, and they filed, probably it depends. Not, but they're going to leave you there though. It'll buy you some time to make a y- graceful exit versus being told you have 3 days to get out.
Right.
I think it buys you time to decide what you need to do next. Um, that's mostly what I've seen here in Mississippi.
My experience has been the mortgage servicers will work, they do want to work to help you modify your mortgage and keep you in your home if it's doable. A landlord's a little bit different, though. They want that property back so that they can re-rent it just as quickly as possible. They need that property to produce income. So they're unlikely to work with you outside of a debt consolidation or a bankruptcy, but you are going to get at least temporary protection, as Meredith said, if we can act on your behalf before the eviction, the judgment takes place. So you need to get to us just as soon as possible in that scenario. Again, in Alabama, you have 7 days after you're served with that unlawful or eviction lawsuit by the court to act. So get to an attorney sooner rather than later. All of our offices throughout Alabama and Mississippi are offering absolutely free initial consultations. Meredith, I'm going to take just a little bit of a break here. I want to recap for our viewers and then be prepared because I have some questions that have come in, Meredith. I'm going to
Okay.
let you try to answer some questions. So, folks, again, my name is Brad Bodis. I'm with the Bond and Bodis Law Offices. I've practiced in the bankruptcy and debt consolidation fields for over 30 years. Our offices are throughout Alabama and Mississippi. We help people with money problems. Right now, we are offering absolutely free initial consultations with an experienced attorney. This is a time like none of us have ever been through before. We've all been through a tough time. We know a lot of you are behind on your bills. Specifically for today's purposes, we know unfortunately a lot of you are behind on your mortgage payments and or your rent payments. Please don't stick your head in the sand. Please reach out for help now. The sooner you call one of us, the sooner or the better we're going to be able to do, the more options are going to be available to you, and the more time to act. We know what kind of anxiety having financial problems, being worried about losing your home or apartment can cause, and we want to help you, but we can't do it unless you reach out to us. So either call the number on your screen or go to our website, and when you're comfortable, fill out the form on the website, and we'll get you to an attorney. We'll do it from the comfort of your own home or office. You don't have to necessarily come into one of our offices right now. We just want to help you. We do these Facebook Live events weekly, and we've covered a lot of different topics. All of them are available on our firm's Facebook page and on our firm's website. So if you know somebody, if you're watching this and you know somebody that you're concerned may be behind on their rent or may be behind on their mortgage payments, and you think what we're talking about today will be helpful with them, share this episode, please. Let them know, because these episodes will live going forward on our Facebook page, on our website, and we've done episodes on other important topics. There soon will be an end to the moratorium on student loan collection. A lot of topics we think that will be important to people within our communities right now. Today, I'm joined by my good friend and Bond and Bodis attorney, Meredith Drummond. Meredith practices in our Mississippi offices. She's unique in that she's worked with us where we help people with money problems, but she's also practiced on the dark side. And I say that laughingly. One thing I love about the bankruptcy community, Meredith, is it's a great, there are good people on both sides, and it's a great bar. But you do have that insight that you're able to bring, that you've represented mortgage servicers, and you've represented those entities with eviction type proceedings. We have that type of expertise at Bond and Bodis, folks, and we want you to reach out if you're experiencing trouble right now. So, Meredith, during the first half of this episode, we've addressed some of the important issues, but we've now had some questions come in. And by the way, if any of our viewers have questions, feel free to post them. And if not, again, feel free to call us or go to our website later. But Meredith, if you're ready for this, the first question I have is, and it's not clear to me if this is a foreclosure or eviction, but will I have to repay all of my missed payments at once? All right, well, here it says rent payment. So will I have to repay all of my missed rent payments at once?
Yes. If the judgment, if you go to court in justice court, if you have all the money, you get to stay, maybe. Um, if you don't have the money, they can still evict you. So yeah, I mean, it's very tough because if you're a couple of months behind, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd add to that, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of folks out there now
yeah,
that are many more than a couple months behind. But
right,
Meredith's exactly right. Your landlord, once they have the right to, once this moratorium on eviction ends, you're either going to need to catch up on all that rent, or you're going to need some type of protection. This might be a good time, Meredith. We talked earlier. There are, both in Alabama and Mississippi, some rent assistance programs.
right.
What can you tell us about those type programs in Mississippi?
Well, I know there are counties are got money. We've got, I think, I don't know if it was 46 or $1 million. Hines County, I think, got $7 or $8 million. Harrison got $6 or $7 million. Harrison's actually got their money with the homeless coalition, and they're getting with the communities to make sure the renters know there is assistance available. Hines County, which is in Jackson, where I am right now, has not done the best job with trying to tell people that there are funds available to help you get current, and also to let the landlords know that there's money out there for them.
Sure,
Um, and I mean, some and states are very hodgepodgey about how they're handling these. I mean, I know in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, before it used to be that they wouldn't be able to even file an eviction unless they've said that they've actually applied for rental assistance, the landlord. So, I think there's money out there. You can do an online search. I'm sure maybe, Brad, we can have something on our website.
sure.
Um, there should be something out there to help you. I mean, there are also, I know the Mississippi Bar is also getting attorneys to help people because they know this is coming down the pipe as far as trying to represent renters. So there is going to be help out there, but you need to look for it.
Now, Meredith, I need to start here by saying that when we got started here, I told you that we didn't need to use legal terminology, and then you went ahead and used hodgepodgey. So,
Hodgepodge.
that's
Say,
no, folks. There are throughout Alabama, Mississippi. Some aren't. There's not a lot of notice about them, but there are rental assistance programs. We did an episode several weeks back with an attorney with Alabama Legal Services who provided a lot of information about programs available in Alabama. But get online, talk to county officials, reach out. And again, landlords are also interested in these programs because
yeah, they can
it's a
get it
way
done.
for them to collect that rent. But to this viewer, one way or another, you're going to have to catch up all of that rent. And if you can't, you need to be talking to an attorney. Call us. We'll do an initial consultation for free and let you know how, at a minimum, we can slow down the eviction proceeding, but certainly give you a plan to deal with any unpaid rent that's accumulated, give you a way to, if you do have to relocate, do it with a little bit of dignity by filing a debt consolidation plan and restructuring your debt. So, this question, the next question, Meredith, how long will I have until I get evicted? Let me frame this a little bit because so say I'm we're here in the middle of July and I'm 4 or 5, 6 or more payments behind on my rent. When should I expect things to start happening, Meredith?
Uh, August. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're 4 or 5, 6 months behind, they're going to have everything ready to go. I think they've all been waiting for this date. They've all been given this date, whether it's a mortgage company or a landlord. And they have lawyers that are going to have everything stacked up and ready to go. So I would expect that if you're 4 or 5, 6 months behind on your rent, you should be looking for a hearing date anytime soon. And as you've said, Brad, before they get that judgment, before you have that hearing, you need to talk to somebody to represent you or to, come talk to us about what your options are.
yeah. It's I know I keep repeating it, folks, but I can't emphasize enough. Reach out for help just as soon as you can. It's going to be confidential. You're going to be talking with an attorney one on one, and we'll at least let you know what your options are. Don't stay up late at night worrying about this. Don't let it keep you from, functioning during the day, doing your job, the things you need to do. Reach out, get some advice, know what your options are just as soon as possible. All right, Meredith, next question. If I file for bankruptcy, is there any way to stay in my home?
Yes. In your home, yes. Chapter 13, debt consolidation, will allow you to stay in your home. You take the arrears, we put it through the plan. and you stay in your home. You pay that delinquency, those arrearage months, through a 5-year period. So you stay in your home.
Yeah. What I want our viewers to know is I've been doing this for well over 30 years. I could count on one hand how many times in that 30 years I've had somebody lose their home when they didn't intend to lose their home through either a straight bankruptcy or debt consolidation. Now, when I say intend, there's sometimes, you know, perhaps pre-pandemic you were making a whole lot more money than you are now, and even if we could put a plan together to help you get caught up on the payments you're behind, you couldn't make the current payments. In that, and you may owe more than what your house is worth. In that situation, maybe you want to do a bankruptcy and intend to surrender your home.
Right.
But if you want to keep your home, almost always, as long as you get to us early, we can come up with a plan to help you keep your home. Um, Most people do not lose their home when they seek bankruptcy protection, either through a straight bankruptcy or through a debt consolidation proceeding. Uh, it's why we're here, folks. We want to help you keep a roof over your head and your family's head. So, absolutely, we can keep you in your home, and we'll do everything we can to help you stay in your home. Meredith, is there any chance the government will forgive the missed payments?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah,
It's not their debt, so I don't see that they would be able to. Because I'm sure realtor associations and everyone else would have a fit. So
yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think the closest answer is what we talked about earlier with
Loan
rental
modification.
assistance
Yeah.
subsidies that may be out there. You should check with your local county government agencies within your communities to see if there are rental assistance programs. Money has gone out to local governments by the federal government to help people get caught up on rent. So explore that option. Again, bankruptcy should never be your first option,
Right.
um, but it's one you should know about. You
Yeah.
need to seek advice and know what your options are. Um, Similar question, but I think the answer is a little bit different. Um, can I keep my car if I file for bankruptcy or debt consolidation?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, again, you need your car to go to work, and for you to go to work, and you have to pay your debt consolidation. You have to have a job and have a car to do that. So yes, you can keep a car, whether you're current or behind. Long as you pay the debt consolidation payment, it can be kept in the plan.
yeah, it's amazing, folks. Not only can you keep your car, but we can make it a lot easier.
Right.
In many instances, we can reduce the interest rate that you're paying on that car. So, perhaps your money, you were already in bad shape with your bills and you had to sign a real high interest loan to pay for a car. Through a debt consolidation, we can usually modify that interest rate, spread the payments out over a little bit longer period of time, and let you keep that car. And your payments are actually going to be lower. In some situations, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but in some situations, we can also reduce the total amount owed on the car. If you've had your car for essentially more than 2.5 years, um, you can pay the car creditor what the car is worth, which is often a whole lot less than the loan balance.
Yeah.
Um, and then if you do decide to file a straight bankruptcy, most of our clients are able to enter into what's called a reaffirmation agreement with the creditor. And that's part of our job here at Bond and Boat. If you hire us, we'll work with you on that reaffirmation agreement, which just allows you to resume your payments and keep your vehicle um, after the bankruptcy is filed. So absolutely, folks. We want to help you keep your home. We want to help you keep your car. Uh, Get to us as soon as possible so that we can assist you with that. So, this person, Meredith, this next person is concerned about their parents. The question is, what about my elderly parents? Will they be evicted as well?
mean, elderly parents, it doesn't, I mean, I have a story, and it's, I was in represented a mortgage company, and the lady was 98 years old.
Yeah.
The Justice Court judge just basically told me he wasn't going to do that. But I mean, they have to follow the law.
Yeah.
I actually figured a way around that and gave her a technical, I fixed it so she'd stay in the house because she was at 98 years old. Um, but yeah, they will evict anyone. I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't matter age.
Yeah. It's a sad reality, folks. And Meredith and I both know that a lot of the people that come to us for assistance are older people that are on a fixed income. Retirement didn't go as they planned, and it's hard to get by on just that monthly Social Security check,
Yeah.
especially when perhaps all of their prescriptions, that medical prescriptions, aren't covered by insurance. But again, folks, this goes back to my message earlier. If you know somebody other than yourself that may be experiencing financial problems right now, what I do find about older folks, Meredith, is they also often allow pride to get in the way, and they don't reach out for help themselves. You need to check with your parents. You need to check with your older neighbors. You need to check with people that may be having problems, and help them reach out to us. Um, Again, we're doing these consultations however is comfortable for you or them right now. If you want to do them by phone, if you want to come into our office, if you want to do them by video, we'll do it that way. Um, I within the last year, Meredith, um, one of my good friends contacted me. He was concerned that his in-laws, his wife's parents, were behind on mortgage payments, had accumulated a good bit of debt on credit cards. We actually set up a Zoom meeting so I could meet with these individuals, the husband and wife and her parents, explain everything, go through everything, and we were able to help the parents catch up on their mortgage payments, stay in their home, and get rid of the bulk of that credit card debt at the same time.
And
Um,
a lot of what I see too with older clients is they've helped everyone else,
all
but
right.
they haven't helped themselves. They've helped the daughter, they've helped the son. I had someone come, they'd help the son. Now they owe a lot of money with
Yeah,
the business venture. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's hard.
it is, but again, there are things that can be done.
Yeah,
So reach out, please. And if you know somebody, again, and you can tell if a friend or a loved one is having financial problems. It shows the stress, the
yeah,
anxiety. They're not the same person they were.
yeah,
Unfortunately, they may be having health problems because of their financial problems. They may be bickering with their spouse, or short-tempered like they weren't in the past. If you see those type of things, try to broach the subject with them. See if they're indeed having financial problems, and if they are, help them get to us so that we can help them come up with the best solution possible. But unfortunately, folks, no, elderly, sick people, they're
98 years
all going to be
old.
subject,
Yeah,
right?
they're all subject. Yeah.
All subject to eviction or foreclosure, but we can help all those people.
Yeah.
All right, so next question here. Um, is there a way to modify or refinance my mortgage if I've missed payments?
Yes, I mean, there is a way to do it. You can, if the mortgage company is willing to do it, sometimes they will, like I said, do a loan modification. You'll have a trial, they'll see if it can work, but it's a lot of paperwork, and trying to get it done sometimes seems like it's impossible, but there are ways to do that. Um,
I,
yeah,
I would say the way this question is posed, it's probably unlikely you're going to be able to refinance if you're behind. Refinance means going out and getting a whole new loan,
right.
paying off your existing loan, and start from scratch. it's likely going to be difficult to do that if you're already behind on your payments. But modification is something different. That's where you work out an arrangement with your existing mortgage company. Now, just to clarify what Meredith said, and you said if the mortgage company is willing to work with you, the mortgage servicers, the mortgage companies have a lot of pressure on them right now by the federal government to modify your mortgage payment if you meet certain qualifications. Um, you've got to get in all the paperwork. You've got to ask all the right questions. You've got to do all the right things. And as Meredith said earlier, again, these mortgage companies don't want empty houses. They want you to stay in your home, and they want money coming in if at all possible. So try to work with them. But if you don't think you've got a solution in place, or if the clock is ticking and a mortgage foreclosure sale is scheduled, or an eviction for somebody in an apartment or a rental property,
Yeah.
reach out for help soon. Um, I'd rather you call me when you don't need help well in advance, so I can tell you what to do to stay out of bankruptcy or debt consolidation. And we'll do that. That's what we want to do. We want to do what's best for you. So who is the best person to call if I want to talk about my mortgage payments in order to avoid foreclosure? What was your experience, Meredith, if when you were representing these mortgage companies, you were the attorney? Could you, as the attorney, work out a modification?
I did on occasion, but generally they would have their own department that did that. Of course, I was doing it during 2008 when the
Right.
bubble started or happened, and the loan modification was new to everyone. But they would have their own department. I would handle some of the paperwork and deal with the person trying to get the paperwork and getting it through the steps to the mortgage company. But I would just reach out to your mortgage company. I'm sure they have a department. They all seem to have a delinquency department or something that they call like that. You just, talk to them. They're going to give you a bunch of paperwork, a packet. You fill out the packet and all the paperwork and keep on following up because they're going to tell you they didn't get it and you sent it. And they're going to do that more than once. But just keep on, doing that and save everything you send them and fax. If you fax everything, send all your receipts that it got through and all that. It's very tedious and it takes a very long time to do. But if you can do it and accomplish it, yeah, I mean, that's what you need to do that. But start. There are all mortgage companies have a department, so just make sure you get to that department.
Yeah, two things here that I think are important. First, what Meredith said, keep good records. If you call somebody with your mortgage company, write down the day, write down the time, try to get the name of the person you talked to, and write down at that time exactly what you were told. If they tell you to send specific information or make a promise to you about payments being put perhaps at the end of your mortgage, confirm it. Send them a fax and get a fax receipt. Go to the post office, get one of those green cards, and send a certified letter so that you have a return receipt to show that it was received by your mortgage company. Um, I don't know if they will intentionally tell you that they didn't receive information, but I will tell you they often do tell you they didn't
A
receive the
lot.
information they needed. Um, and the second thing here is, and I was surprised, Meredith, when you said that you actually, as an attorney, were able to help with the modification, because that's rare. Usually, in my experience, the attorney that's conducting the foreclosure says, I don't do any of that. You need to call the mortgage company. And the problem here, folks, is that the attorney doing the foreclosure usually doesn't have a whole lot of contact, if any, with that department at the mortgage company that's talking to you about the modification. And they can both be moving forward at the same time. So if you got somebody on the phone that is telling you, oh, yeah, we're going to work with you on a modification, but at the same time, you've got an attorney out there moving forward with a foreclosure, and you've received a notice of a foreclosure sale, it's time to act.
Mhm.
Don't just count on those verbal representations by
Mhm.
somebody in house with the mortgage company. Reach out to somebody, call us, let us talk to you about your options before it's too late. We've got time for maybe one or two more questions, Meredith. Here, I want to be
Okay.
respectful of your time. We're nearing the end of the hour. Um, so, uh, rent relief. We've talked about this. This person wants to know, where can I go to find out if I qualify for a rent relief program? Why don't you touch upon that again there in Mississippi?
I would just go online. There are several programs. There are income qualifications. You have to maybe provide proof of why it's COVID related in some instances. But I would just go online, and I know a lot of the TV and local channels have had this information out there. So I would just look it up. You can Google it, but they're out there as far as the rent relief and where you could go as far as trying to get the money to the right people.
Yeah, I echo what Meredith said. In Alabama, also encourage you to go to our Facebook page. I know just a few episodes back, we had again an excellent guest from Alabama Legal Services that talked about some of the rent relief programs. Um, eh, there's plenty of information online on our Facebook page, on our website. And surprisingly, and Meredith mentioned this earlier, sometimes your landlord's the best
Mhm.
person to go to. If the landlord can help you qualify for rental assistance, it's in their best interest too, because the money is going to go to them in the long run. Um, so Meredith, I'm going to go ahead and close out here, but just a warning before I finish this broadcast, I'm going to ask you to chime in with anything I may have forgotten during this episode. Folks, the Bonney Brothers law offices are located throughout Alabama and Mississippi. For over 30 years, we've been helping people just like you with financial problems. I know uh, that when you can't pay your bills, it creates all kinds of anxiety. Um, if you and your spouse are having difficulty because of financial problems, put your hands together and contact one of us together. We'll talk to the two of you about how you can work together to come up with a solution. It's not worth staying awake at night over. If you're behind on your bills, you've got to reach out for help. We want to help you. We are offering absolutely free initial consultations right now, and often we can get started with a debt consolidation, a personal reorganization with little or no money down. Um, we'll help you come up with a solution, and we'll answer your questions and just hopefully give you some peace of mind. Meredith, in my mind, there's nothing better than when a husband and wife come in to see me and they're kind of bickering, and I could tell there's some tension, and he wouldn't pay this or she charged up that. But we sit them down and we help them come up with a plan to work together to get out of debt and rebuild their finances.
Right.
Now, at the Bound and Botus law offices, we pride ourselves on helping people and doing it with as much experience and with as much empathy as we can. Meredith Drummond has practiced with us for a number of years. She's also worked for creditors, so she knows this game very well, and all of our attorneys are very experienced. Meredith, I do want to thank you again for joining us today. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing to our viewers about this?
I would just say, Brad, that, especially when we're talking about eviction, that's your house. It's the roof of your head, your children's head, your family. Make sure that you do look at the letters. Make sure you do look at the summons and the dates. They're just so important. We've emphasized it throughout this program, but they're very important. If there is a sale date, come in. If you have a court date, come in prior. We can help you, but we can't help you as much after. So I would just say, I know the anxiety, I see it, and I've seen it a lot in the last month with everyone knowing that this eviction moratorium was ending, people saying, I'm going to be homeless. Our job is to make sure you're not. And if you are going to be leaving where you are, that you're done. You're leaving with a plan to another place to live. So that's what I would say. Just look at everything.
Amen. Amen. Folks, it says it across the bottom of the screen. Your faith, your family, your finances are important. They're important to us also. We want to help you. If you know somebody that could be helped by the information we shared today, please share this episode with them or refer them to our website. Meredith, thank you again. Meredith
Thank
Drummond
you.
practices in Mississippi and does a great job. If any of y'all need assistance, please reach out to us for help. On behalf of all of us at the Bond and Motors Law Offices, God bless, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks.